Hi, my name is actually it's Willa Stark. I go, but it's Willa Patricia, so I go by Patsy. My pronouns are she and her and other female pronouns. I'm a 62-year-old trans woman who didn't begin medical transition till I was 56. And since then, it's been a whole new world for me. I never had to worry about how I was perceived in the general community, like out and about. And now that's a big part of my life is knowing that that I'm evolving and that there's parts of me that are still very masculine, that have been affected by years of testosterone. But I want to make it perfectly clear that I'm very happy with where I'm at in life, or maybe I'll say satisfied. It's a challenge every day to live in this world. Our culture still has a lot of issues with transgender people, especially it seems like trans women get a lot of focus about, judgment. Being transgender has formed my thoughts, my passions, how I feel about people, and how I relate to the world at this point in my life. I am a registered nurse. I believe that I have not only a professional obligation, but a moral obligation to meet people where they're at, not where I want them to be. I guess the term for that would be holistic nursing care, but it's very deep because you don't just look at the person and where they're from and whether they're African American, Hispanic, or white, or whatever. That's maybe a part of it, but every individual has their own experience, their own story. So, person-centered care to me is trying to hear the other person's story and not make assumptions about that person, and to really quiet my judgmental mind and to really listen hard, which is very difficult but it's vital to be able to take to be allowed into a person's life to provide care, that you have to develop a relationship. When I see people for the first time and I haven't talked to them, or when I walk into a family's house or home or a patient's home, my mind gets flooded with all kinds of thoughts. And I practice the art of quieting my mind and focusing on the people I take care of. So I have always liked person-centered care. I've always valued it. I don't think that in healthcare we talk about it enough, or we really work hard to see the patient. Nobody comes out and says, "Oh, I think you're weird because you wear women's clothes," but you can see things like the look on people's faces. And it's always been part of my assessment to see how an individual reacts to me, like views me, and you look for all kinds of keys like facial expressions or smiles. I know that especially coming out as transgender, I have to advocate for myself. There is condition in our society called ageism. And, even if you're not a trans woman who's over 60 or, 65, or you're still looked at as older, and certain expectations of what older looks like to make this journey, you have to expect a lot of loss. I lost my job. I still haven't been back to work. I'm on disability now. I became, I left the white male privileged. I don't know, people, there's all kinds of terms for it, but I just never had to worry about it. That's why I didn't transition early in life. But all of a sudden you're in this LGBTQ culture. And it's kind of ironic because I had avoided that group of people for most of my life. And then I come to them and say, well, I'm transgender. Will you let me in to your community? Can I be part of that? And really, I never felt more a part of a community. I mean, and I'm like, in the groups that I travel with, I'm the only trans woman. They respect me, they welcome me. I feel more and more comfortable in this group. Even during COVID, my LGBTQ community, we were there for each other. And we, and you think about the history of what people my age have been through HIV in the 80s or 70s and 80s, through losing friends, fearing catching it, being sick, or and I lived through all that because I mean, we all need somebody. I feel like at this point in my life that I want to take care of LGBTQ people because of how culture has affected us, how a lot of us end up alone and isolated. And I think about trans women a lot because, if I ended up in a nursing home, who's going to take care of my feminine needs? Are they going to come in and paint my fingernails? They would, an older cis woman, or are they going to come in and fuss with my hair and makeup and make me feel pretty? Even if I'm impaired, I would want to be treated like that. And I would expect that, like, to have nightgowns and, feminine things around me, flower sheets, but and I feel responsibility to do that for other people. When I worked in hospice for like 18 years, I would meet patients, and they were struggling with dying and end of life issues. I knew that I wasn't far behind, and I don't want to sound morbid but I knew that this is life, and that I was as vulnerable as anybody else to being that patient in the bed. And it's like, well, how would I want people to take care of that? How am I going to take care of these people? I'm able to love. That's like my gift, like empathy and acceptance and all that. Like I can love people for who they are. I don't know how to explain that, but it's what keeps me going. And I'm grateful for that gift, because I don't know how I would have got through life if I couldn't do that. One of the hardest and most important things in my transition through life has been the ability to accept where I'm at. I believe I'm important, but I'm important because of other people, because I was given this ability to care for people. I'm grateful for my life and while I still can. I work with SAGE, and it's an advocacy. It's one of the oldest grassroots organizations in the country, and they advocate for LGBTQ elderly. I found them. I haven't been very active yet. I haven't been challenged to do anything, but I'm trying to find my way through all that, which to me might be a way to be helpful in my community. It's not, and I say my community, but LGBTQ is everybody's community. I mean, we're everywhere. So trans women are just more beautiful in that group. So anyway.